Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O, and we're here with what is Animal Chiropractic. You know, Animal Chiropractic doesn't treat anything. It's not about treating arthritis. It's not about, treating your pet's lameness. It's not about any of that. But what it is it's an excellent first stop anytime you're worried about your animal's health. Whether it be lameness or diarrhea or not doing right or any of those things. And the reason is that every certified animal chiropractor knows what is animal chiropractic, but not every veterinarian knows what is chiropractic. And so as a veterinarian that's certified in animal chiropractic, I am able to do anything to your pet. I can do drugs, I can do surgery, or I can adjust. And we find in our practice that the adjustment is an awesome place to start. When we adjust your animal, we remove nervous system interference, we notice a difference in attitude immediately. Now, it may not be 100%. The lameness may not be gone. The, not doing right. He still acts a little mopey. But the question is he better? Is she feeling better than when she walked in before her adjustment? And if the answer is yes, then let's see what happens. If that adjustment lasts for an hour and then she starts to slide again, we're going to adjust again. And if the next one lasts 2 hours, we know we are on the track to healing and health. However, if it doesn't last longer than an hour or a day or whatever that time frame is, depending on how serious, we had a dog come in that we adjusted. He did great. He ate, he drank, he felt good. The owner was ecstatic because they'd had him for 2 years. They'd been working with this dog, and he was on 7 different anti-inflammatories. And I know that's a bunch of anti-inflammatories, but he was on 7 of them. And they'd altered the dosages and tried this and tried that. Nothing seemed to work. We adjusted him, and immediately, boom, he felt better. The owner was, oh my gosh. Okay, how long is it going to last? Let's see. 3 days later, they came back in. We adjusted. Boom, immediately he felt better. We said, okay, let's see how we do. Hopefully We're on the road to recovery. We're going to last longer than 3 days. So it should last 4 or 5, maybe a week. Only lasted 3 days. Man, what are we going to do? So we adjusted again, and then we went and got x-rays. And the anti-inflammatories that the dog was on, that the referring vet kept changing over the phone every time they'd say, hey, we have a problem. The chiropractic adjustment made it feel better, but nothing would have dissolved the 7 bladder stones in that dog's bladder until they got surgically removed. The owner was willing to do an x-ray after the 3 adjustments because they knew that we were headed in the right direction with healing, but for some reason, we were only lasting 3 days. In this case, the irritation of the bladder was irritating the nerves going into the spine, causing a vertebral subluxation and a blockage of nervous flow. Sometimes it could be a little kink in the back that causes the problem, that leads to inflammation in an organ. It could be a pancreatitis. It could be vomiting and diarrhea. Who knows? But we do know that the central nervous system controls every function in the body, from breathing to heart rate to sleeping to waking up on time. So if your animals are having trouble with any normal daily activity that your animal should be having and enjoying to live life to its fullest, is having a problem with any of those things, the first stop should be at your animal chiropractor, because the animal chiropractor can adjust the spine, remove the nervous system interference, and see results. A lot of people are like, well, but what's the diagnosis? Well, my diagnosis is a vertebral subluxation. I removed the vertebral subluxation and your animal got better. It lasts for about a month, and then he needs to be readjusted again. But you just want to get him addicted to chiropractic. Well, that's better than a drug, I think. So yeah, we get him addicted to chiropractic. Life happens. Thoughts, traumas, toxins cause subluxations. When those subluxations come back, they have to be removed again. So you go back in, see your animal chiropractor. We usually recommend somewhere between once a month, once every 2 months. We actually have some papers that are out now. We have some articles about how to tell when your animal needs to go to the chiropractor. But you have to understand the importance of the chiropractic visit. What happens when you get adjusted? You remove nervous system interference, which allows the brain to work at optimal levels. Gets rid of inflammation. It helps the immune system. All kinds of positive things happen with an adjustment. So, does your animal need to see a chiropractor? Yes. May your animal need to see a veterinarian? Yeah, maybe. But let's see an animal chiropractor first. That should be our goal. Thank you. That is what is Animal Chiropractic for today.
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book. Yes, it's really a thing.
Helping others experience an abundant life with the gift, art, and blessing that is Animal Chiropractic is our sole mission at All Creatures Every Spine. It's what we do. It's what we love. It truly is what keeps us motivated to help people just like you. I truly love the art of chiropractic. It drives me to provide the highest level of chiropractic possible. And as fellow chiropractic business owners, it's that love that drives us to become better. However, the reality is that sometimes running a successful business can be challenging. Sometimes there can be obstacles to overcome. We all know the old saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Well, one thing that is really easy is marketing our clinic with a professional animal chiropractic website by the Chiro Website Pro, Tony Seymour. He's a professional web designer, and his team at Chiro Website Pro take good care of us. They simply make marketing our practice 100% hassle-free. If you're looking for the number one hands-free way to market your practice, give the Chiro Website Pro a call at 423-779-4630 or simply visit www.chirowebsitepro.com and make sure you ask them about the special ACES discount and let them know Dr. Amy and Dr. O sent you. You'll be glad. So, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O, Animal Chiropractor, and I'm here today with Brooks Robertson, and I'm going to let him start by telling us a little bit about his practice.
Yeah, so I practice in Western Oklahoma, Elk City, Oklahoma to be specific. I'm a human chiropractor and an animal chiropractor. Working mostly with horses, performance horses of the Western disciplines, and occasionally I'll work with some dogs too. I graduated my animal chiropractic program with ACES, and then went on to pass the AVCA exam probably 9 months ago at this point, and have been practicing pretty consistently since then. And since being back in Elk City, we've lived here for 4 months, stayed pretty busy. Pretty busy.
Cool. So the first thing we ask, what's your biggest win with animal chiropractic? I mean, what's the one thing that happened that you just went, whoa?
Like a miracle story?
Well, miracle story or a wow story or,
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that probably just being in chiropractic in general, you probably get a little bit numb to miracle stories, For the most part, people call you bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, looking for a home run. And unfortunately, that's when they call you. But since you are in that scenario, you oftentimes have to hit a home run, and those home runs do look like miracles. And there's a lot of those stories, I think we see those constantly, whether that's a dog who's got ran over, has seizures, back ends way in front of its front end, and it's been up like Slinky off of Toy Story, and you do an Atlas adjustment here and a couple thoracolumbar pelvis adjustments, and one treatment, he's a totally different animal, like brand new, and that's a miracle, right? It's a miracle to the owners. But just one of the bigger wins in my area is just getting more and more folks on board with getting chiropractic care for their horses and their animals way before that.
Yeah, I mean, and we talk about the wins and the big things, and I was just at a meeting about storytelling. It was about how to improve your storytelling. And so, I had told some stories that were, like you said, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. And if this doesn't work, dog or horse is going to sleep, right?
That's right.
And then we fixed them, and they're all like, wow, those are good stories. And then I told a story about a dog that came in back in 2017 that was a competition dog. They were going to retire her because they just didn't feel like she was living up to her potential, and traditional veterinary medicine couldn't find out what was wrong with her. And so I said, all right, well, let's adjust your dog. But when's your next show? And they said, well, if we took her, it'd be in a couple months. And I said, well, go ahead and enter her. And so they entered her and won. And then they won the world, won the U.S. and went to the world. That was back in 2017. And then they made the world team in 2018. They made the world team in 2019, 2020, 2021. So 5 times they made the world team. So they got to travel overseas with this dog and compete with a dog that they were going to, retire and let her live comfortably. And instead we adjusted her atlas, and boom, she,
Yeah. That's pretty common, isn't it? It's pretty common to get those, and that is like same thing. Not the same thing to that extent, but if you work with people or clients who have animals with goals, that's really cool too. Because I have a show steer up north of town who was having some trouble showing some lameness issues, and they called me out, and we did I think we did 2 or 3 treatments, and then 2 months later he goes on to win the breed champion at the Big O State Fair they're having, and he probably wasn't going to get to go make that show if we weren't there to maybe help take care of him the way he needed to be taken care of. So those are always cool to watch those clients go be successful in whatever discipline they're doing.
Yeah, and you started that was a youngster, so you probably started him on a route of at least utilizing animal chiropractic on a routine basis, if not human chiropractic, and maybe even helped him with a career decision.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that's what like I say, I have one barn now that is just we've done some really good work, and now when those horses are in training at 2 and 3 years old, we're getting them checked. They're getting checked pretty frequently. They have probably 20-25 horses up there that we got kind of scheduled, and each of them got, each of those horses could have it's just a common sense part of their health program. That's how these owners see it at this point. And when you understand, so that's why I'm sometimes hesitant to tell the stories about these miracle stories, is because it sometimes can give off the impression, it has this wow factor, like, wow, that's what chiropractic can do, but it's also sometimes gives this impression that that's what chiropractic is always for. And it's not just for the miracle issue, or, miracle cases. It's when I can go and show up to see a horse who's 2 and 3 years old, or even older than that, who doesn't have, to the naked eye, doesn't have any soundness issues, doesn't have behavior issues, digestive or bladder or bowel dysfunction, anything that you can be seen, to go out there and to feel on that animal and just check its neurospinal system and to free that neurospinal system up to where I know that the internal locus of their neurological system is functioning a lot better, and that they feel a lot better, and they're a lot happy and a lot more willing and a lot softer of an animal because of that. That's, to me, that's just as important as the miracle stories. So to have more and more of that going on, and just have owners around me right now, I've been super blessed to have owners of animals just decide that chiropractic, just like dentistry or a farrier or a nutrition plan, how just important it is to be a common sense part of their health regimen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've got a barrel racer that comes in, and one time I told her, I said, I almost feel guilty charging you, because she comes in every 2 weeks. And I'm like, I almost
Yeah.
almost feel guilty charging you, because the only thing I'd ever do is adjust this one vertebra that's out of place. And she said, Dr. O, she goes, I know that one vertebra is a half second. She said,
Yeah.
I did the study. Didn't tell you about it, but I did the study. I went to an arena and I entered on Friday night, and I ran, and I won. But I'd already decided that I was going to come see you Saturday morning. So I came and saw you Saturday morning, and you adjusted my horse, and you didn't really find much wrong with it, just that one vertebra that you always find out. And I went back to the same arena, even though you told me to wait 24 hours, right? So, and Saturday night, I ran again. And I was going to see how good the horse did Friday night versus Saturday night. Well, she won Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is going to be hard to beat, right? Well, Saturday night, she set an arena record, and she ran a half a second faster Saturday night than she did Friday night in the exact same arena. Everything was the same. And so she said, as far as I'm concerned, that one vertebra is a half a second. So you would just keep charging.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that just starting doing chiropractic care on some of these animals, especially the performance horses, is what I deal with most of the time. That's what you hear from the owners the most, is the difference it makes in their ability to perform. And then they'll have other horses that have soundness issues, some lameness here and there, that we can really do an effective job with. But I was able to be at I was able to listen to Dr. Stephen Peters last weekend, and he's been studying equine neuroscience, and he gave a really, really good lecture on brain neurochemistry, and just a little bit more in-depth lecture on neurology of the horse. And I'd already known that we were gonna that freeing their neurospinal system up, and that musculoskeletal system, and just that communication from the neurology in the brain and spinal cord does a lot for an animal. But to hear him put it into the really just to hear him piece it together with, and be able to show us the brain and stuff of the cerebellum and parts of that brain that really are affecting smooth motor, smooth movement, smooth and coordinated movement of their motor units, and just their ability to handle their body just so much better and balance themselves out so much better. Just really nailed home that you said, you know what, we are making a really big difference in the health and performance of these horses and horse athletes.
You bet. Yeah, humans and horses and dogs.
Yeah.
Anything with a spine.
Yeah. Exactly. And it is pretty cool too, because I practice upper cervical in the human world, and we were able to talk quite a bit last weekend about how we're kind of coming along with some of the, coming along in the upper cervical area with the equine animals in general. But this one presenter was talking about equine upper cervical care, and just the huge benefits that it has too. We already know this in humans. We've been studying it for 100 years or more, and now we're trying to do the same thing with these horses, because it makes such a great difference in their lives. I mean, I know you have plenty of stories where you just adjusted their atlas. We have that dog who was having seizures, who got ran over. I mean, it essentially was just a C1 correction that freed up that brainstem and allowed his autonomic nervous system to just completely balance out, tone down, and allow him to recover pretty well.
Well, cool. So what is one thing you wished all the animal owners in your area?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Say it again. What's the question?
What's one thing that you wish all of the animal owners in your area knew?
Really just, I wish they knew what we knew. How's that? I wish, because sometimes I feel like when I show up for a case, a lot of times it's for the owner, and hear me out on this. It's because they see something they don't like and they want to feel like they're taking care of their animal. So this horse, it's limping, it's doing this, it's doing that, it's got behavior issues, it's getting strong in the mouth, all these things getting disruptive in the box. And it's like, since that owner notices that and it's a big problem for their life, then they want it taken care of. And I just wish our owners knew to truly be a really good owner who cares about the health of your animal, then taking care of its health and preserving its health for as long as possible, and listening to the people who are taking care of your horse's health is extremely, extremely important. So, and chiropractic is just another part of that, a really, really strong part of that team or system that of things that should be a part of the health program that you have for your horse. I mean, I mention all the time, but it's like, the really good ones in the horse world, the really good ones who are taking care of their animals really good. They do dentistry, every X amount of weeks. They do farrier every X amount of weeks. And the really good ones around here do chiropractic every X amount of weeks, or at least get their horse's health checked. And so I just wish every owner knew that, maybe just knew how beneficial chiropractic care could be to the health of their animal, and not just when it appears to where their senses, their eyes, and can see it, that there's a problem.
I could not agree with that statement more. And you were talking about a show steer. I had a show pig come in yesterday, and he had slipped 2 months ago, and they had been treating the hind end of this pig. They treated the hock, they treated the butt, they'd done all kinds of stuff to the hind end, and they decided that he needed his back adjusted. And I poked and prodded all over him, and his back was moving fine. So I did what I always do, and I adjusted his atlas, and immediately he started better, and he wasn't, but he did scream and he squealed, and when I touched that lower neck and that atlas, he just whoo. And anyway, and he said, well, how can that be the problem when it's back here? And it's just because the way the nerve flows, the way the body communicates.
A
lot of times. Go ahead.
No, it's just like, I use the term free the system, and my owners will ask us what that means, and it's just the only thing that can encapsulate the full context of what the adjustment can do. You say, well, I'm going to free its system. It's well, like, what do you mean? It's like, well, at every level, the system's free. At the neurological level, the biomechanical level, the joint range of motion level, and then the cascade of healing that happens after that, the physiological, biochemical, and like I said, especially that neurologic level. The only way that I can encapsulate the idea of this complex organism going into a healing cascade is to say that I'm taking a closed, tight, bound up system and freeing that system, all of the system. And I don't know if that's even a good terminology, but they seem to get it. They seem to get that horse is going to go from whether it's tight, unflexible, stiff, to soft, less vigilant, ability to just move and use its body with more balance, and all those things that they want and desire start to happen, plus the internal environment of their system, their biological system, starts to operate, coordinate, and function much better. And so how do you talk about the bigness of that with, it's really hard to talk about the bigness of that, truly.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is very difficult. So, yeah. And it's hard to get owners to understand that we want them, to come in more frequently and get their animals checked. And, and it's not because, we want to make money. It's not because, it is, this is how we make our living, but also we make a better living if the animals are successful.
Right.
If the animals do better. And, and sometimes I had an owner come in yesterday, and she was browbeating herself because it had been 4 months since she'd been in. And, she said, well, I think he's still okay. He's not paralyzed again.
Yeah, he's not dragging his back legs anymore.
Yeah. So I showed her how far he was off, and showed her a way that she could check that herself, but that yes, at least every couple months would be better than waiting 4 months. And so she's gonna come in again next week now. So now she has to come in next week, and then probably see me 3 or 4 times in the next month. Whereas if she'd have just come in every month, she'd have seen me 3 or 4 times in the same amount of time, and the dog would have been healthier. So
Yeah.
So, how has animal chiropractic changed your life and your family's?
Oh, I mean, I think it just changes. It changes my life in the sense that it's so crazy how, as being a chiropractor, I know that you talk to many vets too, but as being a chiropractor, just the principle and the approach of chiropractic to the human body can sometimes be exhausting and daunting, because humans have a different nature about them than horses and animals. You build trust with language and communication, and you're constantly talking to them and doing this back and forth with them, and then you're able to go out on a farm call, and you're able to have to communicate in the same sense to a horse, and they don't have a frontal lobe that had no speech or language. They have a sixth sense, and you sort of have to tap into that with them, and that's how you communicate. To do that, you have to sort of calm down. I know, old wise cowboys talked about it all the time, how the horse had a sixth sense. It knew if you were nervous, it could pick up on your fear, and it could smell everything else about you. So it's like the horses demand something out of you, and they demand more out of your presence and your ability to just be a little bit fearless with them, but be safe. But and they demand all your focus, every bit of your focus is what they want. They want you to be focused on them. They want you to really be listening to what their internal system, their neurological system, from its how toned up it is, to where these patterns of stress are within its biomechanical structure, and to do that, it asks a lot out of you, but it asks a lot out of you in a good way. And I've learned how to become, and just in my personal life, the horse has reminded me to become more present, and to declutter my mind of all the distractions, and to be able to focus in on one thing here and there, and then to see that the principle of chiropractic, to what it brings these animals almost in an instant, is always re-inspiring. And then they take that back, and I go work with horses for one evening or two, and come back and just be really inspired to work with humans after that. And that's been extremely, extremely valuable to my personal life and my professional life.
Cool. All right. I know you have to get going here and see some human patients. So
that's right.
So how can people get a hold of you if they're in Western Oklahoma?
If they're in Western Oklahoma, they can. Our practice is called the Chiropractic Co. So CO dot at the end. We have a website, thechiropractic.co, and all on there's all of the information that you would need to get a hold of us, to email us. There's some information about Animal Chiropractic on there. There's information about me on there. And so you can go visit that website. Shows you our phone number. You can call up to our office and talk to our assistant, and she'll tell you my availability with being able to see your animal or get out and check on your animal. Or at least I can give you a call back and see what's going on, and see if I can help out with your situation or not.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Brooks.
Thanks, Dr. O. I appreciate it.
All of you out there listening, remember, the body functions one way and one way only, above, down, inside out. And if you're subluxated, it's not going to be optimal. So get every spine in your household checked on a routine basis. And until next time, we'll see you later.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.